If you had BTS's number, any member of the group's number in your contacts, would you leave them on red? Legit, would you leave them on red? Tell me honestly. I'm asking this for a reason. If you've watched the recent episode of KstarNextDoor featuring the host Jonathan with his first sit down with Jin for his new solo project album, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I guess this podcast is going to be for you. Hi, I'm Monique. I am the host of Off by Purple Heart podcast, where I talk to you about K-dramas, C-dramas, BTS, and so much more. I have to talk about this real quick. I wasn't even planning on doing this episode, but there is a particular segment in this show, KstarNextDoor, that I had to talk about. So Jin was featured. It aired on October 29th. I'm, of course, a little bit late because heaven forbid I'm ever on time for any BTS related stuff. I am constantly fighting for my life to catch up for content. So this is actually a pretty fast turnaround for me as far as consuming stuff. The music, I'm there. I'm streaming, I'm there. But the actual sit down variety show interviews and the oodles upon oodles of content like via Disney Plus and, other means of streaming, said BTS content, I have to take my time. I have to fully digest my stuff. But this one was really good. I'll be honest, I am familiar with Jonathan, the host of this show. I'm familiar with his face. I'm familiar that he's a public figure and popular in Korea, but I'll be honest, I have not really watched a lot of programming with him in it. But of course, anything BTS related, I'm there. But he has great wits. I think the fun thing with Jin is very matter of fact, and he has really great deadpan humor. He's a funny guy in general, and even though he tends to come across more introverted, he can absolutely have the gift of the gab, and he can be really extroverted, and his physical comedy is great. But I think Jin really does the really sardonic, really dry wit really well. And one of the great things about this entire segment, if you haven't watched, is the fact that Jin stayed on Jonathan's neck the whole goddamn interview. One thing is, he will not let that man breathe. Any joke that Jin would say that Jonathan didn't respond to in the way Jin wanted, he would just bore him down with his eyes. It's like those laser sharp eyes. It's so funny. I love when two people can kind of banter back and forth, and Jonathan's really funny. He's like really affable. He's really charismatic. But, there will be times where Jin kind of looks at him like, my guy, you good? Like, you okay? There's like so many segments about it that I really enjoyed. There was a particular early segment where Jonathan got him to kind of dress up in like some different outfits. It was a play on the whole worldwide handsome thing. And one of the first looks was putting him in like this necklace / face jewelry. And I swear to God, obviously, if you're ARMY, Jin looks damn good in everything, but the face chain was hitting on a different level. Can I say there's a lot of BTS art out there? Jin has an immaculate face card, but let me tell you, if they would dress him up in some chains, like give him the nice face chain, the nice heavy chains on the chest. Like, I'm thinking like his recent Vogue editorial, just immaculate, like the heavy metal jewelry and stuff like that. I just think chains would look amazing on him. I've seen these incredible corsets like on Twitter. Like, this man is a style haven. But I was just like, how is it for like a cutesy little segment that lasts a few seconds, like he looks this damn immaculate? It's just something else. There's also like this schoolboy look that Jonathan got him to do, which it was just really throwaway. Like, put on like some headphones, a little bandage on his nose, and then sucking on a lollipop, and he still looked damn good. It was crazy, and I'm like, oh, there is nothing that this man cannot pull off. But it was a good episode. Jonathan talked to him briefly about military service. He's like, you have a message for the BTS members because they're going to be discharged shortly. And Jin's like, no, let's not lie here. They have several hundred days left. It's gonna be a long ass time raising the other members. And it's like, bah, bah, bah. Jin just keeps it real. I love that he keeps it real. And there's like so many little moments, like Jonathan was asking, what is the difference between me as like a host for this kind of programming versus like, the late night host that you saw like overseas, like in the West. And he's like, well, I usually don't have to hear construction noises in the background because you're hearing all sorts of in the background for this show. Like, you can just see Jonathan kind of squirm in his seat, which is really funny. I like that Jin is okay with letting things get a teensy bit awkward, but it's all jokes. Like, it's all built together. You can tell that Jin has really good, warm rapport with this guy off camera. But quite literally, the best parts to me was first he names Pak Jong-won as his best friend, who is the very famous chef in Korea, has his own like merchandise, his own restaurant chains, and he was very, very famously featured in Run BTS as well. And him and Jin kind of struck up a really close friendship, and he calls him his best friend, and you can totally see that. And then it leads into the coup de grace of this episode, which was Jin basically lamenting that because of his star power, because of his sheer magnitude of star power, that it's often hard to get connections, especially because he's a more introverted guy too. And he's like, I would love to hang out with people more. I would love to have more contacts. But, the problem with someone that is a public figure and someone that has the popularity that I have, a lot of people, when we exchange numbers through like networking and what have you, they automatically assume because I'm in this group and I have so many activities, I'm too busy and most likely I won't get back to them, kind of a thing. And it's like, he's like, if only you knew how much more readily available I could be if you actually want to build a sincere connection. Which then leads into like the funniest part of the episode for me was Jonathan, doing his little usually cutesy bit. It's like, oh, that's so surprising. Yeah, you're so humble, this and that and the third, and talking about this interaction. And then Jin just kind of laying out the gauntlet and is like, I gave you my number after doing a shoot with you in the past. And I also gave you some beef. And then you completely left me on red. And then you just kind of see Jonathan's face kind of, and his face kind of drops. And he's trying to dig himself out the hole. And he's like, oh man, I'm sorry. I can only apologize. And Jin's laughing it up. But that brings me back to my first question that I introduced the podcast with. I don't care that you're a host and that you interview high profile K-celebrities all the time. If you have a number from BTS, how the hell are you not returning that text? Now tell me, you watching this, you tell me for real. I'm assuming you, like me, are Army, right? If you're listening to this as well, this also counts. You have a number from BTS. They text you. They do a, hey, what's up? How you doing? You telling me you're leaving them on red? Just honestly, would you leave them on red? I think that's crazy. It's crazy to leave a BTS member on red. And I guess it's cool that Jonathan is grounded and whatever. And maybe he just assumed, like a lot of people, like Jin was saying, that Jin would be too busy, and most likely, even if he gives out his number and he shoots you a text, maybe he wouldn't be able to respond right away, or not think that he actually means it when he says, hey man, I think you're cool. You want to chill sometime outside of the camera, outside of like the spotlight type of thing. But as funny as the whole segment was, and I think they are close, they have very witty banter, and Jin's not afraid of doing a couple of jabs to Jonathan in a playful way, and it's totally innocent, totally cute, right? And you'll get like the sound effects of like that awkward moment when Jin's kind of just looking at Jonathan like, really, my guy, really? But I'm so fascinated by this, having a BTS's personal number and completely leaving them on red and only responding essentially when they come back to visit you on your own programming. I think that is highly comical. Me personally, I would never leave a BTS member on red, but I don't think I would bombard them with messages either. I'm actually someone kind of like Jin as well. He describes in the episode that, Park Jong-un, who's his friend, or Park Jong-won is his friend, but he's a caller type, and Jin prefers text, and I'm kind of like that too. I'm the type of chick that I'm not really interested in spending hours upon hours on the phone. It's like, if it's something where it's really serious enough and like a friend really needed my ear and just for me to listen, that's one thing. But if it's just a regular like shoot the shit type of thing, I'm definitely the type of person that's like, well, why make it an hour conversation when it could be like a 2-sentence text kind of thing? Maybe that sounds kind of cold, but that's just me personally. So I'm kind of like Jin in that sense, where I prefer texting, but I would text, I would be like, hey, what's happening? Like, and trust and believe, like, nobody would know that I would have a BTS number. Like, I would keep it purely hush hush. Like, you ain't got to worry about me. I'm not leaking a damn thing to damn near nobody. But yeah, I thought it was such an entertaining episode, and I'm really liking the promo rollout for Jin so far. I like how he's talking about the album. He was saying on this show that Happy is pretty straightforward. Even like the pre-release single, I'll Be There, is just, easy listening, easy to sing the lyrics to, easy to dance to, not stressful. And he's like, that was my vibe that I'm going for, and that the album as a whole is going to be pretty easy listening with some pretty good energetic tunes, which I like. I still do kind of want a ballad. Like, I was mentioning this in my previous podcast where I was talking about Jin as well, and about potential music coming out, and if he could do at least one really good power ballad, something akin to what he did with The Astronauts, or even like there's the cover song he did of Saranye or I Love You, and his vocals there were just top tier, just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And can I say this, by the way, even him in this episode of KstarNextDoor, like, he sounds like he's eating the CD, just clear, crisp. He's just hitting it, he's that guy. But I'm thinking, I really want that one really epic ballad from him. And even if we don't get it with this album, like, I hope he will release something akin to Epiphany. I'm telling you, the obsession I have with Epiphany, the demo, is next level. There is just some universal bond I have with that song, and especially the demo that was on Proof is just such a gorgeous, gorgeous song. I adore it with everything within me, and it really shows the prowess of his vocals, and I think he needs a lot more respect put on his vocals, you hear me? But yeah, I just had to talk about that episode real quick because I just thought it was cute, and I thought it was so damn funny that Jonathan literally had this man's number and did not text him back. Like, you want to talk about missed opportunity? That could never be me. That couldn't be me. But anyway, let me know your thoughts below. If you had a BTS's number, you would leave it on red? Would you play hard to get? Would you be like, yeah, maybe I'll answer it like in another 6 months? You would take that chance? Yeah? You let me know your thoughts below. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, which I apologize for the post-production. This one was very spur of the moment, last minute kind of one. So if it's sounding a little rough on the audio side, I apologize. And as well, if you're listening to just the purely audio version of this podcast via Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I love you. I appreciate you. You guys are really the real ones. I appreciate you so much. Till the next episode.